All names, places, and organizations have been changed for privacy purposes. Watch the video until the end to learn how to avoid falling for scams. My name is Linda Harmon. I'm 62 years old, recently retired, and living alone in Eugene, Oregon. I spent over 3 decades working as a high school librarian. After my husband passed away 5 years ago, life slowed down. I found comfort in small things: gardening, reading, morning coffee on my porch. My days were quiet, sometimes lonely, but mostly peaceful. I've always handled my own finances. I banked with Wells Fargo for years and liked their online services. I thought I was being cautious, never clicking suspicious links, shredding old documents, keeping my passwords private. But all it took was one phone call to undo all that. It was a Tuesday morning around 9:15 a.m. I had just sat down with a cup of coffee and was about to check the news on my iPad when my phone rang. The caller ID read, "Wells Fargo Fraud Department." That caught my attention instantly. It even displayed the official Wells Fargo logo next to the name, something I didn't even know was possible. I picked up. "Good morning, this is Stephen with Wells Fargo's Fraud Protection Services," said a calm, professional male voice. "We've detected some suspicious transactions on your checking account ending in 2874. Are you available to confirm a few recent charges?" I froze. That was my real account number. "Yes," I said nervously. "What kind of transactions?" He proceeded to tell me that there had been 2 attempted wire transfers, one for $3,820 and another for $2,475, both flagged by their internal systems. He said they had been temporarily blocked, but they needed my immediate confirmation to either approve or reject them. I was panicking inside. "No, I didn't authorize any of that. I've never sent a wire transfer in my life." "That's exactly what we suspected," Stephen said reassuringly. "Unfortunately, this kind of fraud is becoming more common. We believe someone may have accessed your online banking profile. But don't worry, we're going to help you protect your funds." He sounded so composed, so confident, like he had done this 100 times before. Then came the part that would later haunt me. "We recommend moving your remaining balance into a Wells Fargo temporary security account," he explained. "This is a protected space where only our fraud division has access. Once we finish our investigation, we'll transfer the funds back to your primary account." My head was spinning. I had about $11,000 in that account, my emergency fund, my savings, my peace of mind. But the thought of hackers draining it while I sat helpless was terrifying. "I just want to make sure it's safe," I said hesitantly. "It's the safest option available," he replied smoothly. "And time is critical. If your account has been breached, the longer we wait, the higher the risk." Looking back, that's exactly how they get you: urgency and fear. He told me he was going to connect me with his supervisor, someone who would walk me through the transfer process. And like a fool, I said okay. A few seconds later, another voice came on the line, this time a woman. She introduced herself as Ms. Reynolds and said she was a senior fraud investigator at Wells Fargo. Her voice was calm, a little older, like someone who had worked in banking her whole life. Something about her tone reminded me of the people I used to work with: collected, kind, helpful. "Hi, Linda," she said gently. "I understand this must be unsettling, but please know we're here to protect you. I'll guide you through every step. You're not alone." Her words gave me just enough comfort to stay on the line. She asked me to open my Wells Fargo mobile app and confirm my current balance. I hesitated but complied. I trusted her. I told her the number, and she confirmed it matched what they saw on their fraud system. Then she asked me to prepare for the transfer. She said, "You'll see a prompt for a wire transfer. I'll give you the secure account number now." As I wrote it down, a tiny voice in my head whispered, "This feels off." But I silenced it. Everything looked and sounded official. They had my name, account number, caller ID, even the tone of real professionals. Before I finalized the transfer, I said something I'll never forget. Should I call the branch to double-check all this? Ms. Reynolds responded immediately but kindly. Linda, I understand the concern, but please don't reach out to your branch just yet. We believe your profile may be under surveillance by whoever breached your account. If they sense movement or external contact, they could act faster. Let's complete the security protocol first. That did it. The fear took over the logic. I followed every single instruction. I typed in the wire transfer amount, $11,400, and pasted in the safe account number she gave me. I confirmed it, then got a text from Wells Fargo with a security code. I read it to her, and she said that was the final step. There, she said with a smile in her voice. You did the right thing. Your funds are now secure. Within 48 hours, one of our compliance agents will call you back to return the money and reset your login credentials. She thanked me for being cooperative, wished me a good day, and ended the call. Just like that. I stood in the middle of my kitchen, phone in hand, heart racing. I had just sent my entire savings to people I had never met, but I didn't realize it yet. I waited. First, I felt oddly calm. Maybe it was shock, or maybe it was trust, the kind of blind trust we place in people who sound like they know what they're doing. After all, they hadn't asked for my password. They hadn't told me to install anything. They didn't yell or pressure. Everything had sounded legitimate. I kept checking my phone, refreshing my email, watching for another call from anyone at Wells Fargo. But no one called that day. Or the next. By the third day, dread had replaced trust. I opened the Wells Fargo app again, hands trembling. My balance was still zero. The wire transfer showed as completed. My heart dropped. I tried calling the same number that had contacted me earlier, but it didn't ring. Instead, I heard a robotic voice. This number is no longer in service. That's when it hit me. I had been scammed. I felt sick. My hands were sweating, my chest tight. My body felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. I paced around the kitchen in circles, whispering, oh my God, like a prayer or a curse. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't believe it. I grabbed my purse and keys and drove straight to the nearest Wells Fargo branch, barely remembering to brush my hair or grab a jacket. I walked into the bank like a ghost. A young banker named Melissa asked how she could help, and I just blurted out. I think I was scammed. I sent all my money to a secure account that wasn't secure. She brought me into her office and I told her everything, from the call to the wire transfer to the voice of Ms. Reynolds. Her face said it all. Ma'am, I'm very sorry, but that wasn't us, she said softly. But they had my account number, I whispered. She nodded sadly. Scammers often do. They use data leaks, phishing attempts, and even fake websites to get that information. And spoofing technology makes the call look like it's coming from Wells Fargo, even though it's not. But I transferred the money. They didn't hack me, I said quietly. That's the hard part, she admitted. Because you authorized the transfer, it may not be covered. We'll still file a fraud report and escalate it, but I have to be honest, recovery is extremely rare in these cases. I felt my knees weaken. Everything was spinning. $11,000. Gone. Melissa helped me file the fraud report. We filled out pages of information, dates, times, transfer numbers, call details, everything I could remember. I gave them the fake account number the scammers had told me to send the money to. I was hoping desperately that maybe they could track it. Maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe someone could stop the transaction or freeze the account. But deep down, I knew better. She printed a case number and handed me a small folder with Wells Fargo's fraud recovery information. It felt like a funeral brochure. I clutched it in my lap as she looked at me with a mix of sympathy and apology. You're not the only one, she said quietly. We've seen a rise in these types of scams, especially targeting older customers. They make everything sound so real. I nodded, but tears were already building in my eyes. I sat in my car in the parking lot for at least an hour, staring at the steering wheel, unable to turn the key. I felt humiliated, violated, ashamed. How could I, someone who spent a lifetime educating others, guiding students, teaching critical thinking, fall for something so obvious? I kept replaying every word from that call in my head, analyzing every red flag I had missed. But hindsight is cruel. In the moment, it all felt real. Too real. That evening, I called my son. He lives in Idaho and works in IT. I didn't want to tell him. I was so embarrassed. But I needed help. As soon as I told him the story, he sighed and said, "Mom, you've been scammed." He wasn't angry, just heartbroken for me. "Please don't blame yourself," he said. "These people are professionals. They build entire operations around making you trust them. Anyone can fall for it." Till I felt like I had failed. Not just myself, but my husband's memory, our savings, everything we worked for. Over the next few days, I went through all the motions, filing a police report, submitting a complaint to the Federal Trade Commission, and logging the scam on the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3 website. Every form asked the same questions, and I gave the same answers each time. But every reply I received was identical in tone. "Thank you for your report. Please be advised that due to the high volume of cases and the nature of international financial fraud, the likelihood of recovery is low." It was like shouting into the void. The police officer I spoke to was kind but honest. These scammers are usually overseas. They route the money through multiple accounts. By the time we trace one, it's already gone. No arrests. No recovery. No justice. I fell into a deep sadness after that. Not just because of the money, though that loss still stings every time I check my account, but because of the breach of trust, the violation of my peace, the way they used fear and urgency to break through every barrier I thought I had. I stopped sleeping well. Every phone call made me anxious. I changed my number, added two-factor authentication, froze my credit, and asked my son to help set up alerts on all my accounts. I also started therapy. It might sound dramatic, but when you're scammed like this, you don't just lose money, you lose confidence in your own judgment. You start doubting everything. Every instinct. Every gut feeling. You ask yourself 100 times a day, how could I not see it? And yet, I'm telling this story because I want others to see it before it happens to them. Scammers aren't just shady emails or clumsy fake websites anymore. They sound like real people. They have your name, your account number, your confidence. They spoof numbers to match your bank. They exploit emotion and panic, not just ignorance. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. If someone calls you claiming to be from your bank, hang up. Call the number on the back of your debit card. Never trust caller ID alone. Never let anyone rush you. Never send money to a temporary account. Even if they sound polite, even if they use your full name, even if they make you feel like they're helping, they're not. They stole $11,400 from me and a piece of my peace of mind. But I refuse to let them take my voice too. So I'm using it. For you. For anyone who still believes it could never happen to me. I thought the same thing. Now I know better. Thank you for watching. The best way to support the channel is by leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing. See you in the next video.